Hello everyone and welcome to Walford Weekly, your weekly EastEnders podcast, where this week we'll be discussing the episodes that broadcast on the BBC in the UK from Monday the 23rd to Thursday the 26th of May. My name is Alex, thank you, and I'm very pleased that you can join us again. As you may have seen, there's someone else here. This is, of course, if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're listening to us audibly, then...
It's a secret at the moment.
Is it a secret now? It's like this is your life. Now your voice has been...
I'm St. Clement.
Yeah, this is your life, babe. Yes, because your voice has been told. Yes, so if anyone who's been watching or listening to the podcast for a very, very long time, they all know that... This is Rob. This isn't Rob. This is Ben. Hello, Ben.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. I've been de-recast. I'm the Sam Mitchell of podcast.
You are.
We've de-recast me.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure later on we'll be recasting again.
We will.
Back to the second. Yeah.
We will. Unfortunately,
I'm the Danielle Westbrook.
You are. You're the one that the fans love, but the producers don't. Oh, only joking. Yes, unfortunately, due to a technical error, we're unable to. It's like Eurovision when they can't get in touch with the other countries.
I'm the stand-in.
Yeah. So yeah, Ben's the stand-in. No, Ben's never the stand-in. It's lovely to see you again, Ben.
Thank you.
On a quite a week as well, which I'm sure you'll have lots and lots to say.
I hope so. Yeah. I didn't know I was doing this, so we'll just have to refresh.
You're doing this incredibly ad hoc, and hopefully. Although this part may be edited now, if this doesn't happen, Rob will be sending us in a little video of his point of view for this week as well.
A live link.
Don't promise anything we can't give. And that will be then somehow put into the episode. It will look seamless and everyone will be really impressed. But anyway, if you have any opinions of anything we've talked about on the show, please do get in touch with us on our Twitter or Instagram. It's at Walford Weekly. You can also go to our Facebook group, just search Walford Weekly Podcast. Or if you're watching this on YouTube and you're seeing our ugly mugs right now, then you can just comment below. Obviously, we're not the gatekeepers of EastEnders, as we say every week, so we do encourage you to get in touch with us. Let us know your point of view. There is no right or wrong answers. There isn't a failure here. We just want to know your opinion. We give our opinion, and we'd like to know what yours is as well. So Ben, are you ready to go?
Yes, I am.
So the last time we did the podcast together, we had like a random lucky dip, and we delved into Santa's elf's hat. Yes, because we did Christmas together.
Okay.
Was it that memorable?
That was a long time ago. It was 2 Christmases ago, I think.
No, it wasn't. It was 1 Christmas ago.
Was it?
Yes,
Okay.
just under 6 months.
Oh,
no, 6 months ago. Anyway, but we're not doing that this time. We're going to talk about the stories in an order.
Okay.
So,
Order of greatness.
No. So we're starting off with Jean and Lily and Stacey's story.
Oh, yeah.
Also, Harvey went into the mix as well because this week Jean is still not letting Stacey look after her. She prefers Lily to give her pills.
Yeah, washing her hair.
Yes, and wash her hair in a bathtub while her knees cover her modesty.
Supply with some drugs unknowingly.
Well, Lily's been supplying herself with drugs, hasn't she? And she's been kind of self-medicating, much to Stacey's surprise and shock and horror. And so she has started shouting at her mum. Her mum pushed her away and caused her to get quite harmed on her back.
Yes, she went to Pat's bar, didn't she? She did. Pushed in.
That they took from Pat's house after they moved out with, after Kat moved out into Phil's house. So how do you feel? Do you feel that Jean is on a rocky road back to the asylum, as it were, or what do you think is about to happen?
Well, I think it's just obvious that Stacey took her out too early. I think we should say she should, or it's quite clear that she should still be in the hospital that doesn't have door locks or does have door locks or whatever's going on in that. But, it's interesting with Lily though, because she's a really good actress they've got there, and they've given her some quite hard-hitting stuff. She did some crying scenes in the week, and she ran upstairs.
She did. Do you think she used the stick?
No,
you're obsessed with the stick this week. When we were watching EastEnders together, you kept bringing it up for some bizarre
tear
reason.
stick.
The tear stick.
It's because Bonnie Langford said that they called it the acting stick on EastEnders.
Oh, okay.
To make that what you will. No, it's quite hard-hitting storyline, I suppose, the Jean one. She's been quite mean and nasty to Stacey, isn't she?
Is that her fault, though?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? But it's like, Kat's kind of like over it, isn't she? She's like, can you just send her away?
Kat's got no concern whatsoever. I mean, she has got more important things to talk about, I guess. But yeah, she just doesn't seem to care.
No, she is, she's just worried about Phil and them 50,000 or whatever's going on. But it's interesting that the truth about Lily's pill taking is out already as well.
Yes, I'm quite
they didn't drag
pleased.
it on for too long because I think she would be acting a bit. It didn't seem to affect her yet, did it?
No.
I'm guessing it would have about to.
Which is why I'm quite pleased about it, to be honest with you, because last week we saw that because it was lithium and the kind of what would happen, and for a girl her age, she's like not even a teenager yet, she's like 12, I think.
And she's 11 or 12.
Yeah, so she, this would really be quite harmful to her, and I liked actually. I don't know if maybe other people would preferred it to kind of carry on, but for me, I liked that they nipped it in the bud quite quickly because I feel like that it would have been tricky for them to kind of carry on kind of Lily
taking pills
and the kind of the effect would happen, and also it kind of paints Stacey in a really bad light if she's not like spotting the signs in her own daughter, like taking like medicine.
That's the thing, isn't it? And it's quite interesting how like Jean's going through the children and ruining their sort of ruining their lives one by one. She started with Arthur months ago, didn't she? And now she's moved on to Lily. So, I mean, Bert and Ernie's lives are already ruined because they're called Bert and Ernie.
Yes,
so they're off the thing.
Tommy's ruined because
he's had a lot.
He's out of the football school.
He's seen Tina Skeleton.
Yes,
so there's just Hope left now to ruin. We haven't seen Hope in a while.
Our last hope.
She is. So maybe next week Jean will get onto that.
Maybe. So what do you think is going to happen then for Jean? Is she off then, do you think? Because obviously the ambulance are on their way because Lily phoned an ambulance for her mum, but then Stacey
bleeding, wasn't she, in the back?
That's right, and it's stabbed in the back literally. But then Lily kind of took the phone away from. Stacey took the phone away from Lily, and kind of quickly came out with this excuse. Oh, she needs her stomach pumped because she's been taking my mum's pills.
So she's doing it.
I mean, surely the ambulance crew are going to spot the blood, and they're going to.
If they're not checking her, I guess. I don't know.
But how can you cover up the blood? Was she going to wrap herself in bandages?
Stand up against the wall and just breathe slowly.
Okay. Is that how
That's my advice for life.
Stand against the wall and breathe slowly. There was also Harvey came along and kind of helped Jean about.
Jigsaw puzzle, sorry.
They did a jigsaw,
What was the jigsaw of? Do we know? Do we see it? It's a countryside?
Probably. Or baked beans. Do you remember
those? It's a green.
Oh, I see. Well, then it's probably country. It's a very English jigsaw. But they did the jigsaw quite quickly. I mean, when you and I tried to do a jigsaw, we failed at like the first hurdle, which was trying to get the outside done.
It was. But you opened up 2 jigsaws and put them together by accident.
That was a mistake.
So then we didn't know what we were doing.
Yes.
So. And we had like 8 corners.
Yeah, it was at that point I realised there was a mistake happening here.
Yeah.
Which was a great shame because I was really looking forward to doing that jigsaw with you.
But I like Harvey. He's like, he reminds me a little bit of Charlie Slater. A little bit.
Oh.
Charlie Slater vibes.
I wouldn't say that's a compliment necessarily.
Yeah, it is. Charlie's nice.
Charlie used to wind me up a little bit.
Well, he's dead, so.
Well, yes, I suppose that's
Don't speak ill of the dead.
I shan't. But Harvey, yes. I mean, Harvey's obviously kind of, I think he's almost like the normality in that house now. And so he's going to have to help Stacey out a lot more, I think, than...
If Jean wants him. We don't really know if she does like him or not, do we, really?
Well, Jean let him in, though, didn't she? Jean did
She's still walking around with a face on her. She's not exactly herself yet, is she? She's still mean to Stacey and not eating toast from her. So we don't know if Jean
specifically
likes... Well, I don't know. There's normally toast on EastEnders, isn't it? Toast enders. So we don't know if she actually does like Harvey or if she just liked him when she was having her episode. So we're still not quite sure yet.
Okay. Well, I mean, I like the Jean story. I thought it was quite a highlight.
It was nice. It was all great actresses. 3 generations all there, and they like.
It's nice, that isn't it? It's nice to see that on EastEnders because that's what EastEnders is about: family units, and there's family, and that's what this should be about. And it's nice that Phil's out the way. I know we joked about Kat not giving a damn, but like it was nice that Phil was out the way too, wasn't it?
It's always nice when he's not there.
It was.
I'm amazed he's not out of prison yet. Because he's hanging around on the Jubilee behind the scene footage, wasn't he? And that's next week.
Oh, yeah.
So is he out of prison next week, or does he just turn up just to meet?
Maybe Childs and Camilla gave him a royal pardon. That's the story.
Imagine that's the story. God. I wouldn't put it past him.
No, I wouldn't put it past him either.
She does a lot of charity, you know.
She does. Sonia, can we just discuss this for a second? How Sonia bigged up Charles and Camilla.
There was lots of odd dialogue this week, wasn't there, with propaganda of how great the royal family are.
I mean, it is the BBC.
And it just so happens that they're visiting in real life, like around the time they filmed that, and they've taken away any traces of Princess Diana.
That's funny, isn't it?
I wonder what they're going to do next week, because Linda is known to be a Princess Diana fan, isn't she? So technically, in character, she shouldn't like Camilla. But are they just going to write it that she does like her just because they're there in person?
That's interesting. I mean, they could do
When Lady Di, she can be put down, is she?
Well, where is Lady Di? After she dumped herself in the middle of the pub, and Whitney bought that crate for her.
They did recast. They recast the dog, didn't they? But then we've not seen her, so maybe she's already died during lockdown.
Where are any of the characters? There's the cat. There's Dot's cat. It's gone. Disappeared.
Dot's cat's gone years ago.
Yeah, but where? Because Dot's
Island. There's a spin-off. It followed Dot to Island.
There
from
should
Walford.
be a spin-off with the animals.
Dot's cat.
Yeah, Dot's cat.
There isn't any other animals. There's Keanu's lizard. He's gone.
What, the lizard and Keanu?
And Keanu, took him in his box.
Okay.
The Taylors got theirs put down. I can't remember what his name was. Bruno or something, was it?
Oh, flipping
Frank? No, what was his name?
Frank
Leonard? No, I can't remember.
He liked kebabs.
He got put down. So there's no animals anymore.
No, it seems a shame.
Phil's in prison.
Another animal. Anyway, let's talk about Kat and Denise, because we've mentioned Kat, so Kat and Denise and Ritchie.
Oh, God, yeah.
Well, Ritchie was back this week, so that was nice.
That's nice. Yes.
Yeah, that was a nice surprise.
But it's all really confusing, this storyline. I don't really pay attention to this one because it's so like, you signed this contract illegally under here and you stole this baby and then you witnessed a murder, but then you had the mobile phone, but then you signed this contract and then Phil's going to take this. Like, I just can't be bothered to listen to any of it because it's so ridiculous.
It's a bit convoluted.
It is. And they're bringing up all their plot holes from before and trying to make them be like, oh no, Ritchie knew about this plot hole about... Well, but she was the one who signed Raymond over with that contract that she gave to the Range Rover, Ellie Nixon. She gave her that contract herself. And then she goes to Denise and be like, you got Raymond illegally. It's like, yeah, from you, Ritchie.
Yeah, but Ritchie's saying that you cannot trace her to it. She's legally minded, so she can't be traced. So she's able to burn the right paperwork.
Also, she was threatening, like, you'll never see Raymond again. Well, with Phil, well, he loves Raymond.
Yes, but...
Taxi... Bat Ray and Spider Ray. So
Super Ray.
Phil wouldn't want that either, so I think that was a bit of a false...
Well, Phil doesn't seem to give a damn about Ray in prison at the moment.
He's making sure his future's secure. Although he's not actually anymore.
No, he's not, because in prison...
he's selling the... he's putting a mortgage on the taxi firm.
He makes out that he's doing it for himself more than anything else, because then they basically... This is another thing that doesn't really make much sense. They bought the nightclub. The nightclub has been bought by...
Well, they're waiting for the money, aren't they?
Yes, but they've now got first refusal. So how did Sam wangle that? We didn't see that all off camera.
50,000. The exact same amount that Linda's got from Janine.
Oh, is it?
50,000's running around.
Oh, I see. That's a coincidence,
I think they're going to...
But do you think Linda's going to buy rubies and...
No. No, she buys another... I do actually know what she does, but she does buy another establishment with her 50,000. But it may help Denise, it may not.
Because I can't imagine a world where there's not a nightclub in Walford called Peggy's. Can you? So dumb that. I'm sorry, but that really winds me up that they've done that.
What other names could it have done? Sam's Hole.
Sam's Hovel.
What was it called when Sam... was around. She could have called it after her dead cousins,
Ronnie and Roxy.
Yeah, R&R's.
They could have called it R&R's or Peggy's R&R.
R.I.P.'s. Who's I?
R&R-I-P.
R.I.P.'s. Ronnie,
Roxy,
Peggy, Sam for the...
Well, that'd be R.R.P.S.
Yeah, we need an I. Someone who's dead with an I.
It can't be Ian.
Who's a Mitchell. Think about it, everyone.
Yeah.
We could have R.I.P.'s, the club.
Think of an I, who's linked to Peggy. It's probably someone really obvious. I bet you loads of people are now saying, no, this person.
But I don't know what else happened with that. So it wasn't a big one, was it?
It wasn't, but basically Denise was
just overly confusing.
Yeah, that she had to get the money or else Ritchie will basically tell the family court.
I suppose Ritchie was using Denise's... She's not like... We all know GCSE Denise. Like, she's not like... legally minded, I suppose. So I suppose Ritchie just saying all that stuff to her would make her think, oh no, this is...
but she's got Jack on her side, hasn't she?
Was she? He's never there.
Well, Jack originally was going to sell off all his property, wasn't he? That was the plan.
I know, they're like, we can't get 50,000, it's impossible.
Yeah. Well, but
and then she's like, Jack has eight apartments, 4 businesses.
Well, I think it's more that Denise wasn't willing to give up the money. But supposedly then Denise is going to have to give up her salon. But then surely that's not very nice on Jack's behalf, because Jack has got places. He could sell one flat in East London. And that would more than make up the deficit of what he needs to make.
Yeah, it's funny.
In the long
I don't
term.
really care about this storyline. It's just stupid.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't really make any sense to me. And I can't be bothered to work it out.
I know, it's a bit of
So it is my own fault that I just can't be bothered.
It feels like it's a means to an end or something. Do you not think?
But I like Sam, so she's having fun, isn't she?
Yeah, I mean,
Drinking.
it gives Sam a purpose to be there after her initial kind of. But then I suppose it's the same with Janine. I guess he needs a purpose to be there because there's all the bells and whistles saying, "Oh, look, we've brought back these legacy characters that everyone loves and adores," and then they kind of.
Sam didn't get a trailer, did she? Camilla does.
She does.
What's going on there? Propaganda.
Don't be driving down any tunnels anytime soon, Ben. Let me just say that to you.
Kate Oates are going to drive into me.
Yeah. Right. So here's a story that I actually really loved this week.
Okay.
I actually really, really, really liked this week, and that was Stuart and Rainie's story.
Oh, yeah.
Long pause. Oh yeah. So not so much. For
No,
you?
I didn't. Again, I didn't pay much attention to this one because
Ricky
this
Chan.
kind of was happening.
Ricky
There's
Chan.
a lot happening with Stuart, isn't there?
But this is it. So
It's like 4 stories.
Rob and I talked about this last week, and we did say that there seems to be so much happening with Stuart's character, where he's basically, got postnatal depression, but he's also might have a drug addiction, or he might also be this, that, and the other,
And chemo.
and chemotherapy as well. And it felt like that there was no real what were we meant to be focusing on with Stuart here?
And they never give those two that much time anyway, do they?
Which
They
is
kind
such
of
a
give them like
shame.
a few scenes every few weeks.
Yeah, but why? Because they're so good. Like there was a scene this week, right? Like on the Thursday episode where Rainie and Stuart, Rainie had just come back. So Stuart's basically been found out that he's not taking his pills, and so it's not that's making him a little.
They were
bit.
in the Hoover, weren't they?
No, they weren't. They were in the
What's that
U-bend. Vi pulled out the U-bend to clean out
I
Stuart's
thought it was
back
a bag
hair.
of. I
Yeah.
thought it was a Hoover she was holding.
No, it was a
up.
U-bend from a bit.
Oh, got a lot of hair in that house.
Well, Stuart's got a very hairy back, apparently.
Right.
Well, he lacks up there. He has a lot of back there. And
Because Ben and Callum can't be blamed anymore because they're not there, are they?
I mean, they've only not just been there.
That's true. It might be all their
Yeah.
hair too. They're all hairy.
But
Vi.
maybe Ben and Callum keep themselves trim.
Maybe.
Ready for a bit of love
What
making.
about
'cause
Vi?
they-
We don't know about her situation.
I don't want to think about what Vi does in that
It's nice
bathroom.
that she was off screen talking this week.
It was nice that she wasn't there.
She was shouting things off screen, so that was improvement on the
Do
week.
you know what? I don't think we've spoken to you about Vi. What's your opinion on Vi?
I have, haven't I?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
She's just not very good.
Isn't she just a bit? I don't know.
She's a bit not her. The writing of her is a bit too try hard.
Yeah, they're trying to make her that
accent
kind of.
they make her do is just annoying.
Yeah, and
When
doesn't-
when she returned from her break, she was good for like a few episodes. She kind of was toned down, but now she's gone back to. She's talking to the backstage of the theatre, isn't she?
This is what I said. It sounds like it sounds like she's doing theatre, but the actress has done television work, so it's not like she's not used to doing
Well,
television
those directors
work.
then.
But don't go blame the directors.
They need to say, well, it's the directors. They're directing the cast.
What, stop shouting?
Tell her I'm here. My ears are here, not back there.
Do you want to
That's
dress
what I
an
say
episode
to-
of EastEnders? I'd
Yeah.
love to see you face to face to her. I don't know, to tone it down a bit. It's like what my teacher used to do to me, because I was always too loud
Do it in a
classroom.
sandwich. You do a positive, negative, positive.
All right, so I'm
Your
Vi.
hair looks great
I'm
today.
acting.
I love the blow dry.
Thank you very much.
Could we maybe tone down the tones this week, just because it's a more sensitive subject?
Okay, am I a bit loud?
Just a little bit, but it's just the vibe we're going for this week.
Okay.
And I'm going to get you some new wardrobe.
Oh.
Some
What,
new
as
outfits.
for her? As
for
the
the character, yeah.
Oh.
So enjoy.
Okay, thank you. Oh, there you go.
You're always rewarded.
That's the audition process done. If you're watching EastEnders.
We're all here to make the best show we can.
Well, let's talk about Stuart then, about how he's kind of deceiving Rainie, and Rainie feels hurt more to the point that like this is something she can't really cope with, because now Stuart's can't love Roland.
Yeah, because he told her, didn't he?
He cannot love Roland and Roland, and she kind of says, "I can understand if it was an addiction that was your problem, but I can't understand why you can't love our child." And it's not even biologically hers. She even brought that up. It's technically his child, not hers, and she's attached to it.
I thought they used her eggs in Bernie, did they not?
No, I don't think so. I think it was just Stuart's.
So that's why Bernie keeps. I don't really get why Dottie's like, I'm going to tell Bernie what you're doing. It's like it's got nothing to do with Bernie. When she said that to Stuart, was it last week? Maybe that was last week.
I suppose it's contractually, it doesn't have anything to do with Bernie anymore. Like, but then she could talk to old Ritchie, couldn't she? And Ritchie could make it disappear.
Ritchie, yeah. Actually, I have this contract written up without my name on it.
To be fair, that has been discussed before, that no one in their right mind legally would take that contract as legally binding, like what they drew up with Bernie. So it's probably a bit tricky.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say about Rainie and Stuart. There's not much.
Do you think Mitch is interfering? Do you think Mitch is being
they're having an affair? Are they not?
Do you?
I think so. Mitch, he's been on there 3 years, not had a storyline yet.
You're not the only one to say that.
He's probably being like, give me a storyline, please.
Give me a storyline.
So I'm guessing that's it. It looks like the obvious 2-week pre-affair build up, isn't it? Where they build thing up and then something happens in 2 weeks' time.
I'd be devastated if they give Ritchie. I've got Ritchie on the brain. If they give Rainie the irony and typical me going back on my own kind of wants that I always do on the podcast is that on the podcast I always say, why can't we have a good old fashioned affair on the show? And now they're kind of teasing on with Mitch and Rainie. I don't want that.
Stuart's going through 4 storylines. I don't need to add more. It's like what they kept doing to Tommy. They kept adding trauma on him every week.
Or Mick.
Mick for 9 years.
Yeah.
But do we really need an affair? And I don't know if it would look bad on Rainie because he's going through a lot, and then she then has an affair, and then Mitch also is.
She looks hurt though, don't you think? That scene on Thursday's episode when she kind of spoke to, and you could tell that Rainie knew that she had a decision to make here. She was very torn. She was almost choosing between Stuart and Roland, and she had to make her mind up. And it was like she wanted to do. Don't you think that it was just really beautifully portrayed? And I just thought it was such a
they always do really nice things.
They work so well together.
They work with everything they've got, but I don't know. Will she eventually understand postnatal depression? Maybe if she opens up to Mitch, maybe they're going to write it in, because Mitch for some reason was like, oh yeah, the first months are the best months. It's like, well, they would.
Mitch was never there.
Because you weren't there, Mitch. So they would be quite nice. I'm wondering, are they going to backwards and be like, oh, I felt like that, and maybe he'll explain to Rainie he felt that way with the kids, maybe, and that's why he left.
I wondered if I wondered if they brought Mitch in to kind of be yet another person on the team Dottie and Bernie, and that when he gets information about how Rainie and Stuart are with coping at the moment, that he also passes that down to Bernie, and it's another strengthening argument that they could then take Roland away from them. But yours is feasibly just as good, that he could be sympathetic toward Rainie, and that then could kick off the affair between them.
Maybe. I mean, she's quite understanding sometimes, Rainie, but then other times she doesn't see past what she knows, does she, I guess?
But that's not her fault on this occasion, I feel. I don't think this is her
character.
Yeah, I feel like this isn't Rainie's fault. And it's not Stuart's fault either, to be fair. Stuart can only feel the way he feels.
I feel like they've gone through the postnatal thing very quickly, though. And because it's mixed in with him being ill, it's really difficult to sort of... It doesn't seem to be much to it. It just seems to be I've got postnatal depression.
Deal with it.
It's okay. I don't know. I wish there was a bit more of him struggling to hold him, or I don't know, just a bit more. Yeah,
because all you've seen is him kind of stood from the cot and kind of looking at him, and every time he cries somewhere. Yeah, he doesn't want to comfort Roland and do anything for him. But you saying it's quick. It's time of the times, isn't it? They kind of get out the stories quickly, don't they? They don't kind of give it. Well, no, they don't have to, but it tends to be what happens. But then I think this is a long-term story we're heading. Don't you think this could be a little bit longer, at least a month?
Well, it's Kate Oates, so it will be which will be why this will lead on. It's like the cancer led on to the postnatal, and then the postnatal led on to Rainie feeling left out, and then she'll lean on Mitch's shoulder, and then they'll have an affair, and then Bernie will team up with Karen and decide they want the baby back, and then Mitch will be stuck between having an affair. That's what it will be. It's like that. She likes those knock-on effect storylines, Kate Oates, doesn't she?
It causes that, that causes that, that causes that, that causes that. Oh, fair enough.
Maybe. Who knows?
But then we don't really know how much longer... it sounds like we're just carking it. We don't know how much longer that we have for this mini Kate Oates era.
No.
Because
very soon.
I think Clenshaw is...
He's been there 6 months now.
So he must be coming on soon.
Around now, yeah.
His EP credit must be coming in soon. I mean, isn't there like in a couple of weeks' time, kind of like a big week coming? So if that's the case,
6th of June, I think.
So if that's the case, surely that means it's either the end of Oates,
Kate's big,
or the
big
beginning
end.
of Clenchall. Yeah, and I wonder how much. I genuinely wonder how much she's going to handle the soap once Clenchall's gone, because I don't. With Sen, I felt like she was a bit
left him to it, sort of thing.
Yeah. So I wonder if she does the same with Clenchall.
There's been loads of things like behind the scenes, hasn't there? There's not been the usual mass culling, but there's been loads of behind the scene job openings. Like 3 opened up yesterday, I think, didn't they?
All right.
Social media manager, so.
I mean, where are they looking?
We've all got our fingers crossed for that.
Yeah. I mean, they've not had a very strong week, have they, this week?
It all went downhill from the Jar memes, the Janine memes, I feel. Or there was a peak on the graph, and it was the, like 2 years ago, the Easter egg hunt. With Jags hopping across the screen.
Right.
That's when it went down.
That's when it went down.
Never recovered.
Do you not think there was also a kind of a downhill slope when when Dr. Leg's funeral happened and he had to find the candles in the picture, like you're a 6-year-old child playing hide and seek?
Yeah.
That was a moment, wasn't it? That was a time.
You can only go up when you're down.
That's true, and that's what I always say about this podcast every week. You can only go up when you're down. Right, so this is the part in the middle bit, because you haven't done this such a long time. It's so nice seeing you.
Middle bit? Is Rob's bit?
This isn't Rob's bit. No, we're going to come to Rob's bit.
Okay.
But I hope Rob doesn't mind, but we're going to just quickly do the little teeny weeny itty bits. So there was a tiny little stories which kind of got mentioned, but not enough for us to kind of give it a lot of debate. So
he returned from the dead.
I mean, that was just nonsense, wasn't it? Basic.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
What little story could it be? Let me think.
Okay.
Nancy, Zach, do they do anything?
Well, I mean, they did. Yes, that's part of it.
Story. Frankie.
It's the Frankie story. Oh. That's the main one. I mean, we've kind of already talked about like Rocky and Janine and Nancy because they're organising a party for the royal family.
We haven't talked about that once.
Well, we did.
You're talking about the podcast you filmed an hour ago, I think. There's no.
Well, the one that went wrong. Oh, I'm sorry, Rob.
They're all doing a party, aren't they?
They're doing a party.
And Rocky had some voiceover work because.
Oh yeah, but
he was talking about the Queen.
Like that.
Talking about the Queen, and hasn't the Queen like changed her arrangements or something since they filmed that?
Yeah, so they had to edit it. Well, she's
Queen's
become very ill
this way.
Yeah, she's become very ill, so I don't think that she's doing as much for the celebrations as.
No, yeah, they're just planning the Jubilee surprise.
But then
Rocky wants to get Sonia's love or attention.
Well, approval again, isn't it? She wants to, because he
doesn't know that's not his daughter, right? He hasn't forgotten. He still thinks he's her dad.
There's a small part of me though that genuinely believes that the story is going to at some point just randomly for no reason at all in a year's time.
Being his dad has just disappeared since Christmas.
She don't care, does she? She's moving in with the Panesars. It's her and Vinny and Bernie and Suki against the world.
Yeah, that's his plan.
But I feel like that they're gonna kind of almost retcon, and that you're gonna find out that Rocky was Sonia's dad.
And Kathy was Sonia's mum.
Yes. And that Carol had nothing to do with Sonia. She just found her in an adoption agency. I just feel like that's happening. Anyway, Rocky found out though that there's a royal visit to the Red Cross shop in Barking. So he's going to get his powers to kind of go to the shop and hopefully get someone royal in. Who could it be? Who possibly could it be?
I don't know. The Queen. Harry. Meghan.
Harry's not royal.
Andrew.
Not royal anymore. Oh, Andrew, God.
Who will it be?
I was about to say something then. I just thought legally obliged, probably not to. Liable.
Is that the only reason they keep renewing Rocky's contract? What's his name? Brian Connolly's contract? Because he's a character who knows celebrities.
What, so they can keep bringing
every year they go, we've got a cameo, and he's a friend of Rocky. So that's what they seem to do. That's the way they're keeping him on the book.
I mean, that's what they do with TV sitcoms when they're slowly dying. They start bringing in celebrity cameos. The only instance where that's not true. The only instance that's not true is Friends, because they did that from the very get-go. But like Happy Days, for instance, they brought in Robin Williams.
Had Emma Barton be a thug on the street.
Yeah, but that's before she became a Spice Girl. They also had that guy from Busted, Matt Willis.
Oh yeah, he played Stacey's bit on the side.
Did he? I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Ooh. I'm thinking about the time he was in a street gang and he was like walking around the market. Am I making this up? I don't know. I imagine that I vaguely remember.
Stacey disappeared and Kat saw on a bus working in a salon. That was her boyfriend, wasn't he?
I guess.
I'm sure it was.
I don't know.
What were you talking about this little storyline?
Oh wait, so basically, they're organising a royal
What's that got to do
occasion.
with Frankie?
Well, no, that's the other little story.
Oh.
So the other little storyline is that Jay and Frankie got caught, in inverted commas, by Lola having an affair. And Lola,
pants were down.
yes, his pants. Well, no, that was last week. This week they were just. This week they were just.
Can't stop thinking about it.
This week they were just
Scene
talking
of the
about
year.
it. Yes.
No, yes.
And so it's kind of leading, don't you think, to the fact that I think that Jay and Frankie are going to become a couple.
I hope so, because him and Honey are just redundant. They've been together
They don't do
over a year.
scenes together.
Well, don't blame them. The actress has known him since he was 9 years old, but she used to be motherly. Now, so they've not done one kissing scene, have they? In a year and a half. But yeah, they're just a stupid couple. They need to cancel that. I really didn't like Honey at the moment. I feel that she's just sort of treading water and being stupid. I don't even listen to her scene with Dr. Lister.
Mr. Lister. Dr. Lister. The voice of Double Dare.
Mr. Lister,
Mr. Lister,
I didn't even bother listening to that scene because it was so stupid. What's he doing, trying to date her again, is he? Or whatever?
I think
carrying on that drop storyline from a few months ago.
Yeah, might as well.
Nice little pick-up.
Kato says something to film sometime.
We really missed that.
Yeah, that's a story that we were all crying out for. No, I think it's actually to sort of deliberately put a rift between Jay and Honey, isn't it?
What was he doing? I don't know.
Well, he basically said that he sees their relationship falling apart. He kind of did it very subtly, and he wanted to go for a drink to talk about it with Honey, and Honey kind of said, "Oh no, I don't want to," because Honey's kind of become like Miss Business Woman of the Year now. She's the market inspector.
I don't like,
because that's another thing that's kind of a missed opportunity. Like they just kind of she's become like generic market inspector now, hasn't she? That's the
characters go to die.
Yeah, it is though, isn't it? Because that's what happened to Robbie.
You're on set, you're on this lot and not on sets. That's an issue to start with. She's just a bit rubbish. Her and Billy can go, and then Jay and Frankie. Jay and Frankie would be a really nice couple. They look good together.
I think they look good together too. But then does that then cause a rift between, because Lola and Frankie are getting friendly as well this week?
Lola can bugger off. What's Lola got to do with it?
Well, because Lola was with Jay.
Jets, so
she cheated with Peter, didn't she?
With Dexter. Was it not Dexter?
No, it's Peter. She slept with Peter.
When?
Pete Bill.
Ages ago.
Yeah.
But when she left, she cheated with Dexter, didn't she? And that's why she left originally.
Yeah, but then when she came back, she started dating Jay, and then
Did she? No, because Jay was with Ruby, wasn't he?
No, Ruby was with Martin.
Listen.
No, wait.
Right, well, you're going to get hateful comments if you say Jay and Ruby didn't date.
No, I'm sure they might have dated.
Okay.
But Jay dated Lola.
Ages ago.
Yeah, but then she slept with... No, not that ages ago, because it's the current Peter she slept with. Ho, ho, ho. Green Giant Peter is the one she slept with.
No, because she had that boyfriend, Ewan, who came and punched someone. Or she punched him, didn't she? When she came back. She was never with Jay again.
What? I don't remember that.
It was like her boyfriend turned up for like 2 or 3 episodes and he punched someone.
No, she got back together with Jay. I'm sure I've heard of it.
No.
Comment below and let us know what happened.
Ruby, and then he was with Honey. Because then Ruby dumped him.
Why was he with Ruby? What, with Matt?
I don't know.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, I know. Well, Honey and him have been together since lockdown.
No. She was never with... Because that was the consent story, and it was straight after...
Who's not with Ruby? Jay?
Jay.
Okay, fine. I'm glad you said that twice now.
The consent story happened with Ruby. Oh, I don't know. Anyway,
Jay and Ruby were together.
Well, no, okay, I'm sure they were together.
Anyway, it's got nothing to do with Lola. No. Isaac has dumped her on Instagram.
On Instagram, that picture of Isaac in the Caribbean, that
really rubbing it in her face, isn't it?
Yeah, because that looked more like a photoshopped photo. Really, honestly, that was pretty poor.
No.
That looked awful.
Well, I don't imagine that Isaac would do that because she was only in a good Barbados a few weeks ago.
Yeah, but Cherie is there. Cherie interfered again. It was even got brought up. Cherie's name got, raked in again. Poor Cherie, such a good character.
Well, I think Lola is going to move in with Callum.
What, date Callum?
No, Lola's not dating anyone.
Lola's only existence on that square is that she's dating someone. Have you not noticed that since she's had no one?
It's to supply Lexi. Ben and Callum. So she'll move in and Lexi keeps her little...
so Lexi can make her little snarky remarks. Like, I hate you!
Yeah, that's Lola's number one, yeah. That can go, unfortunately.
What?
Been pointless.
That's a little girl.
No, Lola, not Lexi.
Oh, yeah,
Lexi will have to go with her.
If you were Chris Clenshaw... and you were getting rid of characters, which characters would you get rid of? I posted
this on Reddit, actually, so I'll just read my list.
Oh, go on then.
Because it's too
Well, while you're doing that, when you say yours, I'll see if I agree with you or not.
I said I would get rid of Karen, Peter, Ash, Honey, Billy, Lola, Mitch, Ben, Callum, Phil, Dottie, Rocky.
Okay.
And then
Ash isn't actually on the soap right now, so
when she comes back,
you get rid of her. Yeah, she's gone again. I wouldn't get rid of Ben and Callum. I would get rid of one of them. That would really.
Well, they can just rest. They don't need to get rid of them, but they just need to do resting.
They do need to rest them. We'll be talking about them in a second. And also, I agree with you with Lola and Billy. What about Phil? Did you say Phil?
Phil, yeah.
Yeah, I've got a good storyline for Phil. I say it every now and then on the podcast.
Yes, I know.
DM us, EastEnders. I've got a great storyline.
I think Steve McSpanner would like it. But...
No, Steve McSpanner would hate it. Anyway, so...
Right, what's next?
Well, next up then is what we kind of half promised us a second ago, which is Rob's take on this week's EastEnders. And if he hasn't done one, then right now you're going to see us fade to black and come back again.
So, Ben. One thing me and Alex certainly were agreed on was how we felt it was a shame to portray the first openly gay, positive character we've had on EastEnders for years in Lewis as a vile rapist. It feels similar to how Gray came in as the perfect man and then transpired to be a monster. The aim of the initial stages of this story clearly were to show that anyone can be a monster and that nobody is really safe from them. In Lewis, it felt like the show was so determined to create a genuine gay character for the story, but they almost did it too well. Helped massively by the performance of the actor, obviously. So Lewis is almost wasted by being given this story because it instantly gives him a shelf life. So it's a shame, and hopefully the show will look forward after this and give the LGBT characters a huge slice of positive representation going forwards. Now, none of that takes away from what has happened this week. The show did what it set out to do. The scenes of the rape itself, to me, felt powerful, shocking, but tastefully done. It was unflinching in the way that we've sort of come to expect from EastEnders over the years. And like I said on social media, since when has EastEnders ever held our hand when it comes to the really gritty stories? The run-up to the scenes themselves puts the motivations of certain characters in slightly murkier territory. Certainly Ben was fully prepared to cheat on Callum when he arrived in that bar. He downloaded an app, he'd messaged Lewis, and after drinking a bit too much, which in itself leans into the taking advantage of territory, he instigated the initial stages of what was to follow. And if Callum hadn't sent a picture of himself pouting, because who else could possibly resist an impression of a toilet duck? Then who knows what might have happened. But that text is what it took to bring Ben to his senses, and that is where the non-negotiable side of this story comes into play. This is where Ben started saying no. And from there, it's not liking it rough, it's not playing hard to get, it's no, I don't want to do this anymore. The show was telling us that no matter where the no comes in the events, when it happens, that's the end to it. No means no, whenever it happens. Now, what's interesting with this is that everything that we've said over many weeks, even before this story even came along, was, how Ben is an unsympathetic character who doesn't help himself in a lot of ways. And I think it's interesting that now, because Ben can be such... Let's be honest, Ben can be an absolute arsehole at times, and all of this has now come back to bite him, because I think that the people that he would normally rely on, Callum, Jay, Kathy, they're looking at Ben and thinking, oh, well, this is just you. You're just being you. You're lashing out at the world again. And they're not seeing what has actually happened. They're not seeing the source of basically a new Ben, because you feel like a completely different person once all this has been done to you. Mixed in with the fact that Lewis, who's now apparently a master manipulator, has jaded Ben's thinking of what has exactly happened. Ben can now not honestly say to Callum, no, I didn't cheat on you, because the intention was there at the start. If he hadn't sent that message, would he have cheated? Or rather, more vitally, would the consent have been there? I do think that all the team played a blinder this week. Max Bowden did exactly what we expected him to do and knocked it out of the park. Ben genuinely looked like a husk, didn't he? He looked like a shadow of his former self. Whether we like the fact that this story is happening or not, and I still maintain that there are quite a few reasons as to why this story didn't really feel hugely necessary to me, I think what we got was done very well. I do think, however, that the parallels the show is trying to draw with Kathy feel really weird for me. Like, why does it have to have taken place in the same place that it happened to her? What exactly does that achieve, other than, look at us, we haven't forgotten our history? Now, like having a mother and a son raped in exactly the same location just feels really weirdly grubby to me. But what I do hope is he's setting out to do is to give some fantastic material to Kathy. I would love some massive scenes between her and Ben. Even a two-hander, dare I hope. Jay, as well, has the opportunity to stand up and do his part. For years, he has been the voice of reason in Ben's insane life, and I hope that he gets to do it again now that they finally remembered how close the two of them are supposed to be. Balan, I think, ultimately will be fine after this. It's not a story, I don't think, that has been designed to tear them apart for long. There will be some predictable soap tropes, the secret keeping, the blackmailing, etc. But what I hope, above all else, is that we have this story and that it's done in the right way. Keep the melodrama away from it, for God's sake. It's too important an issue. Please don't forget to leave us your thoughts in the comment section, and I will see you soon. Bye.
So what are we doing next then?
Ben and Callum.
Ben and Callum?
Oh, sorry, we were going.
Yeah, it's live, mate.
Edit this bit out, obviously. Yeah. Don't you dare.
What are we doing next then?
Right, so welcome back, everyone. So we're going to now talk about the big story, which is Ben and Callum and the rape storyline.
Lewis.
And Lewis, of course. I just want to say right now that before we go any further, that Ben and I may be discussing topics or situations that some listeners or watchers on YouTube of this podcast may not want to hear. And if that's the case, then I suggest now that you
skip to the next bit.
Skip to the next bit, which is, I don't know when, but there's timestamps on the podcast notes, so you can see them on there. Okay? So, I don't know. What do you want to do with this? Because I've got a few opinions on this story, but I know you have too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's been so many weird comments online, like on our Facebook group, on Twitter, everywhere, where like there seems to be a bit of a blurred line where people are sort of, I don't know, there's been such a divide of people where some people are saying, oh, he was asking, he went in there, intended to it, and blah, blah, blah. But like, that doesn't mean it's okay.
No,
like there's a certain point in the episode where Callum sent him a text message, and it's like from that point, there's no debate after that, basically.
Of course.
It's what I find, because someone was saying that online the other day, and I said, you know what? Fair discussion up to that point about what the sort of blurred lines were, I suppose, of Ben's intent with Lewis and what he said to Lewis and all that. But up to the point where he got the photo from Callum and said, oh, no, actually, that's when you don't have a debate anymore.
Yes.
He said no multiple times and then that's it. And
yes.
I think it's really good how they've done the aftermath of it with Lewis sort of kind of explaining it away and being like, it's what you wanted and you like it rough and that's the type of person you are. And it was almost like he was sort of gaslighting him into thinking, oh, actually, yeah, maybe that was what I did. It's
yeah. It's funny enough you should say that, because for me, the actual episode, the Monday episode of the act of the rape being carried out, it was good as fine. But not to dismiss it, but like for me, the aftermath was the bit that was done better.
Much better.
Done much.
It's because they because of what they've done with the Ben vigilante thing, and beating up people, and then Lewis putting a thing for him, and then him and Callum breaking up over it, and then him downloading an app and being like, he downloaded an app. What was it called? Cruiser Dart or something like that.
Crusader. It's called
really
Crusader.
It's like, obviously we know what app that's meant to be without legal terms.
No.
But you download that app for a certain reason. And Ben was on that app. He wasn't on there to find Lewis. He just got matched to him and be like, oh. So he was on that app with intent to go out and, do whatever, whoever
promiscuously have sex with another guy.
And he messaged him, and Lewis was like, oh, let's go clubbing. And he was like, no, let's go upstairs. So all of that was like, okay, actually, that's really bad on Ben, because he was intending to cheat on Callum when I say they broke up, but
they hadn't broken up.
No, they weren't broken up.
There was intent to cheat. So this is what because really we have to be honest here. We have to be truthful. The fact that, yes, as you quite rightly said, there is no excuse for what Lewis did. If Callum hadn't messaged Ben, though,
exactly, that's the thing where it's like, I know you shouldn't do but this or if that.
Of course not.
But we are, because you have to, because you're discussing it. But like up to that, that's what I mean. Up to that point, if he didn't look at his phone and see that text from Callum, would Ben have still been like, oh no? You'll never know because it didn't happen.
Of course, you'll never know, and so you
can only just theorize, I suppose.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like, would he have just carried on and then he would have cheated? And I don't know. Would that maybe have been a better storyline or a nicer storyline rather than this? Because of what led up to it with the vigilante stuff, which has really tinted the whole thing, and the fact that it was Lewis that raped Ben, and it's like, well, why did you take a character like Lewis?
Well, this is another bone of contention, isn't it? They've taken a really positive gay character that looked like, for the first time in a long time on the soap's history, where they're not killing a gay character or making them getting beaten up. Or
I know there was like that glimmer of hope, like, oh, it's a gay actor and he's playing an out and proud person. But the whole time we hide him, he's going to be a rapist. Yeah. It's like, okay, why is he going to be a rapist? Why couldn't you have introduced... Because Max Bowden said in an interview, well, this was pitched to me about 6-7 months ago, last summer or something. And it's like, well, why didn't you introduce Lewis 9 months ago? Build him up as a character we like. And if you wanted to work with a charity and do this storyline, which, if that's what you want to do as a storyline or whatever, why not do it then with Lewis being the victim? Like, why Ben, 2 weeks after we found out he's been beating up 5 people? Like, what is...
Because it would be a really interesting story also if you did have the kind of the dynamics of the fact that, yes, Lewis and Ben became very, friendly with each other, but not necessarily, they might be flirting. And so then Ben becomes a friend to Lewis who gets raped. Then they can do the Callum jealousy storyline if they want to, because they love doing that on the Ball and Roundabout. It's just what they like to do.
Or don't do a roundabout and do something just different.
No, yeah, of course.
Because there was an article from The Sun where someone wrote up a really long piece about his issues with it, and a person from the charity replied to him on Twitter and said, well, this is a storyline that was a really important one. We wanted to tell it, so we told it. And it's like, well, yes, that's fine, but that's not the point is that people are bringing up. That people are upset because of the characters you've chosen to do it with. And it's not that you've worked with a charity and done a male rape storyline. That's not the issue. The issue is the sort of character plot points which have led up to it. It's just
again, it felt a bit rushed, and
it's been covered with really dodgy dialogue about Callum being straight and growing up straight and not as gay. There's so many lines where, like, Lewis said, oh, you're married and you've got a kid, you're basically a straight couple then. It's like, well, what? Why is that? Why are you saying all this really awful dialogue and then continuing to have this character be put on a shelf life?
It's really bad that this is the portrayal of gay characters on the soap, and that's what really winds me up, because being a young gay, being a baby gay, when I was a young man, learning to accept myself, if I had seen what I'm watching right now on screen, I wouldn't want to come out because I'd be too afraid. Because I'd be like, oh my god, what's this? What is this? I know,
because like the lines like where Ben, well, this was a few weeks ago, so it's not this week, but where Ben was like, oh, try and being gay here in London, and it's like, London is such. I know not all of London is nice, whatever. You're going to get it wherever, but like, London is such an open, liberal place for gay people to be, especially the East End. And it's like, really? Try being gay in London? Is that the thing we're going for? And like Pam, when she returned, she was like, well, if Paul didn't come out, he'd be alive.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I completely forgot about that. What an awful thing to say.
Yeah, and it just seems to be continuous. And it's like, well,
for the sake of drama, for the sake of, it's morbid, isn't it? Almost, it's almost like it's morbid.
Well,
it's trauma porn.
Yeah.
It's a word that I stole from that article.
It's the fact that Ben and Callum are the two ones, played by what we know, straight actors. They're both straight acting, inverted commas in case you're listening to this, they're both straight acting gay people who aren't going to be walking down the streets. And you're not going to see Ben and he's not going to get targeted like some out gay people are, and then you have a character like Lewis introduced, and some people watching could have been like, oh, I actually see myself there, but oh no, you're actually a rapist and not even sorry about what it just feels very it feels like it's something that would be on like TV like in the 90s. Like it's so tone deaf that it's not it's not up to date with what
it's not portraying
people want to watch.
It's not portraying a community in the right light. And I'm not saying that EastEnders should be all fairy dust and rainbows. Of course it shouldn't. It's a drama, but at the same time, like it's just constant for gay characters on that show right now. All gay characters are either murdered or beaten or become violent.
Just leave halfway through an episode.
just disappear with absolutely no reason whatsoever. And it's just so awful. It's like it's almost it's careless because they've got this very very fragile story that they need to tell, and they need to take delicate care
especially
of it.
with an audience that is a high percentage of soap watchers are going to be LGBT,
of course.
And it's like, and this is the exactly, and it's like, well, maybe. I don't know. There's just a lot that they could have done different and better. The storyline. It doesn't mean it's a bad storyline. It doesn't mean that Ben deserves to be raped because he did that vigilante stuff. None of that. They're two separate things, and you can understand why Callum is upset because for what. Callum doesn't know what the viewer knows. So you can't be upset at Callum for chucking Ben out or for Kathy for being angry at him because for all they know, Ben cheated.
Now, see, this is what making me really angry because there's some people who are comparing Ben's storyline to Kathy's rape storyline by Wilmot Brown, and it's obnoxious to compare the two. It's not the same thing at all. It's not the same thing.
Well, the only thing that's the same is it happened in the same room.
In the same place in the Albert
again
upstairs.
is not clever.
It's not clever.
That's not clever writing. And that's remember like months ago when this said we were like, oh, I wonder if
we joked.
Joked that it would be in that room upstairs, and it actually
behold, it's there. But I urge people if they can, and I'm sure they're on YouTube, rewatch the episodes where Kathy's Kathy's rape takes place. It's completely different. Kathy. Not to say Ben encouraged
it.
To
be there.
Well, exactly, but not to say Ben encouraged it. But Ben went there knowingly to hook up.
Yeah.
Kathy didn't do that.
No,
Kathy finished her shift at the pub.
He said she couldn't say no because it was her boss, basically.
Yeah, come upstairs, we'll have a drink. And a lot of people were saying like, oh, just like Pete, her husband Pete Bill. He wouldn't listen to her, and he believed that she wanted it, and that's what Callum thinks. No, Callum thinks that because he doesn't know that Ben's been raped, for one. And also...
Kathy reported her rape straight away.
Michelle's advice and Paulie's.
And Den went in with a bottle and a lighter.
Yes.
And blew the place
the whole place up, like you do. That's what you do, classic EastEnders. But the reason Pete got upset that Pete's relationship with Kathy was torn apart wasn't because he thought that Kathy had it coming or anything like that. It's because he felt like his masculinity himself had been taken away from him. That
his old-fashioned views he had of marriage from his lovely mother.
Exactly. But now, Lou, bless Lou, because he thought that now Kathy's been kind of like not soiled, but kind of like being used, and so and also that he felt like he couldn't protect Kathy, and so that kind of put a rift between them too. And so,
plus he was just a character of the 80s, like he was a man of the 80s where he was not.
He dresses up as a woman, goes to the pub and cries when he gets home because everyone's laughing.
Callum's a policeman. Yeah. He's out or whatever. Is he out? I don't know. He's out.
Callum's out. Yeah, he's on the poster with the way
they've been talking about him. He's a straight man.
Yeah, he's very straight, isn't he?
So obviously the reaction is going to be different, but
it's nothing. There's nothing the same, and so it makes me so angry that everyone's saying like, "Oh, Kathy should know better. Kathy's been," and it's like, well, yes, of course, Kathy's not actually even been that mean. I know she scolded him because he cheated on Callum, but she's let him live with him. And she's given
poor Peter upstairs,
beaten up,
his killer downstairs and waiting for him.
And she's given him every opportunity to talk. It's like Ben's not being given a voice. Well, Ben's obviously scared. He doesn't understand. He's still trying to put the jigsaw pieces together. So it's not that he's not being given an opportunity to talk. It's that he has nothing to say. He still can't work it out himself yet, which is fine.
So he just can't believe it happened to him, I suppose, because Ben's quite... he sees himself as quite... Well, obviously, because he's going around beating up people with a vigilante thing. He's kind of... Maybe he doesn't quite believe... So this happened to me, Ben Mitchell, is the type of thing he's doing. But, Kathy did suggest therapy. It was sex therapy, sex addiction therapy, which is not the right angle. But, I wouldn't.
At least she was helping.
I would say Ben could do with therapy. It's not a bad idea, Kath.
No. It was nice actually.
I want to see a family session.
It was nice we saw him in the sex clinic. It's like we've made
that was good, yes.
Yeah.
Because even I said when we were watching it, I wonder if Lewis was on prep or whatever, and then they went through it all. So that was good, yes.
Yeah, because you said
it's nice when they take time to do that, because those are the interesting bits of why. I guess because they're working with charity, that's why they do it, because they want to do those bits. And sometimes they skip over them or gloss over them.
Oh, especially recently.
And even some of the dialogue, even when he asked him, were you passive? Stuff like that is not necessary, I guess, but it's the fact that they were able to include that is it was quite a line, a graphic line, I suppose, with some viewers who may be complaining at home, but that's the type of stuff that would actually be asked.
Yes.
So that's what we like.
The aftermath
it's not good. A bad storyline, it's just there's so much. It feels so do you know what I mean? The lead up to it and everything about it just feels a bit off. That doesn't take away from the actual storyline, which they're now telling. But do you think they should have almost when they came up with the storyline? Because this is again, we shouldn't kind of say, oh, this was brand new. They've never done this before. Hollyoaks have done it twice. Coronation Street have done it once. Dale, didn't they? I think KO's done on all three. She might.
KO, she does like her stories. She does like to repeat.
I can't remember.
But do you think that they maybe should have taken their foot off the pedal a little bit, and before they kind of just went bulldozing the idea, oh, Ballum, people like Ballum, let's do it with them, and they kind of maybe take a step back and maybe thought it through a little bit?
Yeah. Because that's what we've said with Lewis.
Also, though, and again, I don't mean this with any cruelty toward people affected by the storyline or anything like that, but it did almost smell a little bit of, we want people to watch our soap, let's put this story out there.
That's why they do all of these stories, all the issue storylines.
Then I've got
they can get their press release out. They can get the actor can sign up with the charity and do a run under their name, and they can get. No, that's what they do. Gray did it. The guy who played Lewis did it.
Why specifically running?
I don't know. They always do a run, a charity run, don't they? Fun run. And then they can put it in for a nomination for an award. That's why they do the issue storyline.
I know, but this is
don't do that. Just do the storyline, because this is a natural character growth and a character beat for a character.
Yeah, but is this a natural character growth then?
No, it's not. No. This isn't a natural thing for Ben to have the vigilante thing 3 weeks ago and then have this. It's why? But we've gone through that. We're just going to go through in circles.
No, okay. But I've said before.
Also, I wasn't sure about the last shot of Ben with his ring falling to the floor.
Well, when he broke down and cried. What was wrong with that shot?
I don't know. It just looked too. I don't know. It just felt.
Set up for the camera to have it on his hand.
It just wasn't. I don't know. It was weird.
A little bit. I must say I didn't enjoy him stumbling down the stairs.
In the morning. Yeah.
I thought that was a bit.
That was all done one shot though, right through. I
do love a one shot when Sam's coming around, and I did like that Sam was involved. To be fair, Sam was kind of they didn't really care, but she was there.
She just thought, we're Mitchell women, aren't we?
Yeah.
Because she got out of a cab, didn't she?
She did.
Because she was dressed more like the Danielle Westbrook Sam, I've noticed. So they're doing that cleverly, making her not look like the Sam from 2005. Yeah.
But I did see. This is my thing, though, and I've said this before, and I think I've said this to you in our private life. But I just have a thing about the fact that I don't know. I can't speak for other soaps, but the fact that EastEnders have to put on an issue. It's like an issue of the week. Every week there's an issue, and you saying they do these things, they put the press release out, blah 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 blah, and they do it for. But it's just if it's happening so often now, it just feels too watered down.
And some of them are so. Like the one that comes to mind is the Mila one. It's just so awfully done.
That was terribly done.
It's like, did anyone learn one thing new, what they didn't already know? Because I didn't.
What you can't find on Wikipedia.
And I literally saw a those charity adverts there on TV sometimes. I saw an advert about it the other day, and I actually learnt more in that 30-second advert. And I was like, oh, okay, this is. No, it was a TikTok. It was someone on TikTok because she'd had it done to her, and she was campaigning about it. And in her one TikTok, I was like, oh, I've just learned about 90% more information, which I learned from this 2-week issue soap first storyline, which taught me nothing. And that's the point of these, is to teach ignorant people something about it, which I was very ignorant about FGM. There wasn't anything that was in my life or anything. And this one person's TikTok told me a lot more than what they ever could.
Well, they're 1 week on EastEnders.
At the end of it, you just think, well, what was the point? Basically. But yeah.
But on the whole, then, were you pleasantly surprised by the storyline? Because I think, did you go into it not expecting a lot, or did you go into it expecting it to be worse? Well, I don't know, no special effects.
No, not even when the ring dropped to the floor. I was expecting that to be in slow motion.
I mean,
like drop to the duff-duff. Yeah. Spun to the floor. No, the scenes afterwards were really good. The conversations with Lewis and how he was sort of twisting it, and Ben saying all these things that are going to make it very difficult when he does say what happened to prove anything, because all the questions he asked when he went to the clinic and stuff like that. So. And he's got all the messages on Crusader. Yeah, he was looking at them, wasn't he? Because that also was a bone of contention with Jay, wasn't it? Because he said, "You don't help yourself, do you? You know." So Ben. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how far they take. Well, they're going to go to court or do that? Are they going to show all that and bother?
A courtroom scene? Be still my heart. It would be amazing.
We didn't see Gray in court, and he was on it for over 3 years. So
because the thing is, which is the difference between this and Ruby's kind of consent, because arguably it's a consent story as well, is that with Ruby we didn't see, so we were just we were almost the jury ourselves.
Although you knew it was going to be Ruby because she's a character, but that's not the point.
Yeah, and Martin's friends that we've never seen once on Classic EastEnders.
I know, but Martin in 2000s is on Nikki's side when this is happening to Nikki.
Yes,
Mr. Open-minded.
Even though she's lying.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to him.
I mean, they do like regurgitating stories from Classic EastEnders recently, haven't they?
It's a fun game to play.
It's a fun game to play. Get your bingo cards out. But but we know that. But do you think that Lewis was in the wrong? Do you think Lewis? Sorry, that's the wrong question. Do you think Lewis genuinely believes that he was in the wrong? Or do you think because he seemed quite convinced that he wasn't, but he'd done nothing wrong. He might have done
this loads of times.
But this is it.
The trouble, you don't know enough yet. You're going to have to know more about him. He said he slept with around 10 people since
before he got tested. Yeah.
So in a few months that was.
But so do you think they were all consensual, or do you think we're going to find out that he has a history? So that could be something else.
That was normally what happens in this, isn't it? Someone else comes. That's what happened with Mick, wasn't it? With Katie. Someone else came forward.
Dylan Box, sadly, has still not resurfaced his head.
But, yeah, I mean, he seems popular. Like, when we see Lewis, he's always talking to groups of people. So he must have groups of friends. I don't know. But you can't really answer that yet, I don't think, on week 1.
No, I know.
It's just 9-week story, I think, isn't it? Was that what Max Bowden said on an interview?
Did they actually give it a time frame? That feels a bit sick as well. The fact that it's exactly 9 weeks. In 9 weeks, it will be wrapped up in a nice little bow.
It's 8 weeks longer than Mila, so we should be thankful.
That's true. We should be very thankful.
Yeah, I'm guessing we need to know more about this, which may have been nice to know beforehand. Maybe introduce him a few months before and actually got to know.
Well, of course. Then we wouldn't have 9 weeks. We'd have a long time beforehand. But yeah, I feel like that Lewis he's deliberate. He at the moment he doesn't think he's done anything wrong, and I think there's going to be a two-hander, isn't there, between Ben and Lewis? I think eventually.
What do you think?
Oh God, yeah. And they'll hash it out, and I think Lewis.
They should have it between Kathy and Ben when he tells her. It should just be Kathy and Ben when he tells her and opens up to her.
I just think that they're going to find themselves in a situation. Perhaps they're getting a fight and they're in a prison cell together, and then Lewis will kind of finally admit that he did do it, and then that's how we get to court.
Or they'll frame Lewis for the vigilante attacks.
Oh, come on. If they do that really cheapens the storyline. That cheapens it. And I'm sorry, but if I was that charity that
Well, the charity worked with Gray and Chantal, and look where that went, so...
Oh, that was terrible, the way that went. That was just...
But I don't know, if they can't prove it with Lewis. But I would rather have that more character side to it, Kathy and Ben, because obviously Kathy's been through this, so I think that would be really nice for those two to have, because they get so little together, Kathy and Ben. It's always Phil and Ben. So, I don't want Phil to find out and be like, right, I'm taking my plea bargain or whatever. Is that plea bargain still on the table? We don't know, do we?
No, I think he messed up after he got his breakfast.
So I don't know how he's going to get out of prison.
Phone call, his international phone call.
I don't know how he's going to get out of prison.
Royal pardon. We've already discussed this at the top of the show.
And if they do him and then they kidnap Lewis and do warehouse stuff, then...
They better not do a warehouse.
Then I'll be doing Cilla Black. Surprise, surprise.
I swear, if a shenanigan takes place...
We don't want that. We want Kathy, character, and just do that.
Yes.
No warehouses or kidnaps or people in boots of cars. That's my criteria.
We're driving around to rave music.
That's my criteria.
Okay, that seems fair. That seems like a fair criteria. I mean, I think we've talked about the story, haven't we?
Everyone
really?
is it?
That's every. Well, that's the whole kit and caboodle on the show this week.
Yeah.
Yes. So there we go. So
Well, it's at the end of the show now. It's been so long.
well, normally Rob now does the bit where people can get in touch with us. But I'm going to have to do it. Unless you want to do it. Feel free to. I mean, we can do it. There's an email if you want to do an email.
No.
Okay.
Get in contact with us. Comment below this video.
No. I mean, there's an email that's been sent to us, but I'm sorry to...
I thought you meant I can read out an email address.
Well, there is email addresses as well.
I think the camera may turn off soon because it's coming up to an hour. So.
Oh my goodness, well, I think we better stop.
We don't do 2 takes.
We do not. So, if people want to get in touch with us, if I'm talking as if there's like a barrier between me and them. If you lot want to get in touch with us, you lot, then please do. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Walford Weekly. You can find our Facebook group by searching Walford Weekly Podcast. Ben's doing it right now. You can tell. Look at him. He's joining up the Facebook group, as you can tell. He's doing it. You can get in touch with us by email, alexwalfordweekly@gmail.com or robwalfordweekly@gmail.com. That's me.
I've been recast.
Rob, if you're watching...
Hope my contract's renewed for next week.
It is. You got brand new... You got your 50 quid in this week. You had a talking
my
part.
extra, I'm Tracy.
Yeah. If you are watching this on YouTube, then please subscribe and like the video. Don't forget to comment below as well. Or if you're listening to this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any of your favourite podcast apps, please also don't forget to subscribe and like the video and tell your friends and retweet everything and let everyone know that we exist because we love to hear from you guys. So there you go. Okay. Well, thank you once again, Ben, for filling in.
I'm here. Not had a shower, just had my dinner. I
literally just threw this on, this jumper. I noticed halfway through there's a stain on it. So what a time to be alive.
I'll upload this in 120p. There will be 4 pixels.
Lovely.
Nice and filtered.
Good.
Anyway,
good. That's what we want.
Okay, so we'll see you next week then.
Yep. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Goodbye.